Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Howard, and it's time to get stress-free. Welcome, everyone, to the Stress-Free Educator Podcast. Once again, I'm Dr. Howard, and let's jump right into it. Today's topic is politics versus educators. This is a big one, right? Because a lot of this, the topics in these series is going to be things that we cannot control. However, one of the major factors that causes stress for educators is political agendas that come out that we cannot control that affects our daily walk and what we do. So we're going to talk about politics versus educators today. All right. So let's start off with the setup. What is a setup? Okay. So it sounds like this. Florida signed the bill that says no more FSA, no more standardized testing. And all the people who talk about standardized testing and the negative effect it has on children and stuff and so on and so forth, they are clapping. Woohoo! No more standardized testing. We don't like it anyway. We have even educators who are like, woo, no more standardized testing. Now I'm going to say this. This podcast is not a political podcast. So I'm not going to share what my political views are. And I'm not going to try to convince you as to how to vote or your opinion. That is not what this podcast is about. But I am here to talk about how it's going to affect our stress levels as educators and some tips, right? Just give you a little tip that you could just make it through. That's the purpose of the podcast. So I'm not going to share any political views, but I'm going to give you a couple of things. You know, we're clapping. You know, even myself in my last podcast, I said standardized tests, but every child is not standard. So it doesn't match. So there's some things that I don't agree with either personally, right? So we're saying, thank God, right? So the new thing is progress monitoring. We're going to monitor the growth throughout the year instead of just giving them a test at the end of the year. So let me set it up for you. Okay, let me just throw it out there. My first thing is, can you all make up your minds? I mean, FSA, can you make up your minds? I mean, now you're doing progress monitoring, but if later on down the road, because sometimes we do this stuff and then every single detail is not planned out. So we do this stuff and realize we don't have enough money to adopt the materials and the resources that we need. So then you'll be like, no, you know what? Ixnay on that. Let's change this. You know, now you made up a new acronym, FAST. Beautiful. Beautiful acronym. Beautiful. FAST. Best. I mean, they come up with the best program outlines. It's another acronym. Great. Wonderful. My thing is, can you make up your mind? Can you just make, if it's FAST, best, FSA, Common Core, can you make up your minds? Can you just make up your mind so that we as educators, we know what to do, so the parents know what to do? What is my child? Is it progress? It's like, this change is gonna happen. But I felt like FSA just came out the other day. So can you just make up your minds? Because to be honest with you, education is education. We keep changing. Math is math. 2 + 2 does not change. So why is the test changing so much? It's just that you read. Reading don't change. Why is it changing so much? Oh, the generation is different. The generation is different only in the aspect of they learn differently. So we have to just present the same thing to them differently, not change what we presented. It's like, okay, can we just make a promise? Did I set that up real good? Personally, I think nothing is going to solve the problem until they pass a bill. Let me tell you what bill should be passed. The bill that says, if you have not been and never been an educator, you cannot have any say-so in any educational law. That's what needs to be passed. If you've never been in a classroom, you've never been a principal, you've never been a parent, you just don't have no experience with teaching other people in that capacity, you don't need to be making these decisions. Period. That's just my thing. That's what I would vote for. Only people in educators can make laws and pass what needs to be passed because they have the experience and they know what's not going to work. Because I'm telling you, we're rejoicing, no more standardized tests at the end of the year. Do you know how many more tests you have to do to progress monitor? I'm not against progress monitoring. I'm not against what it's saying. I'm just saying, now guys, it's gonna be more. Picture this now, summer, principals gonna be asking teachers to go to workshops now to learn this stuff. We don't know how to do it, just like when they came out with BAS. We didn't know how to do running record. We had to go learn it, right? And we're doing crash courses while trying to figure it out, giving up summer breaks. Now education just started over because of the pandemic. People, I'm not saying everything is back to normal, but teachers now kind of sort of okay, we're not doing virtual learn, kind of sort of maybe getting back into the groove of things. And now, boom, there are now first year teachers again. Can you just make up your minds? This is stressing the people out, all these changes. Book knowledge don't change. Why are we changing so much? Teach the pick them off for read and write and done with it. Why we keep changing? We keep changing because students are not passing and they're not being successful. So we need to just figure out how they learn. Stop trying to change what they learn. Figure out how they learn. If we got to teach through TikTok because it's TikTok time now, then we're going to teach through TikTok how to add 2 + 2, not change the whole system. Because education is education. What are we doing? You're stressing the people out. That is my situation. Oh my goodness. Because, and then, did you guys also think about this? They still have to hold schools accountable, right? There's still going to be some type of school grade. Principals are still going to feel pressured. And everybody is going to basically provide test pass. Now it's going to be progress monitoring, pumping for your students so that our school grade can look good. That was the problem with standardized testing. Because some educators were not doing their job, people decided that we need to hold schools accountable. That's how this thing came into being. So now that we have to hold schools accountable, okay, we need data. That's where the whole standardized test comes in. So we can say, okay, this teacher is effective, it's not effective, and is not effective, so on and so forth. And the school is not doing, because we don't want you to send your child to school to receive low quality education. So now there are tools in place and there's checks and balances in place. But they took away the standardized tests. You think they're going to take away the school grade and how they monitor schools? No, there's still going to be some type of accountability piece. Now the accountability piece is going to be even more complicated. That's just how I see it. How is this going to be calculated now? Principals probably scratching their head like, okay, is my school an A or B? Is the state coming again? Leaders are stressed. Everybody is stressed right now. So sometimes these changes, I mean, yes, change is good, but did we really think it out? Did we involve the teacher, even the custodial worker at the school? Everybody in the school need to be involved in these decisions so they can tell you the little nitty gritty. It's one thing. It's one thing to cast big vision. I can give you a big vision in a heartbeat, like boom, this is it. This is the overall vision. But there's some little intricate details that don't make the vision work. And when you don't include the little people, the people that you say is little people, are the most powerful people because they're the one executing and doing the details. So here it is. Yes, progress monitoring, no more standardized tests. That's the overall big vision. Great, wonderful. But did you work out the details? Do you have enough resources? You know, these teachers can't copy all this progress monitoring. Who's going to copy this stuff? Who will copy it? Who? They're going to have the books. They're going to have the materials. They're going to get the time off that they need to go to these trainings. because now they want you to go to the mandatory training, but your principal is like, I can't have so many of you off at the same time, and your principal not sending you. So did we work this out? No, we didn't. All right, my personal experience with standardized tests. We're going to monitor students based on growth, right? But here it is, you're telling me what the growth should be. That's still not individualized to the child. So I had a student where on the chart, it said they had to move up 40 points in order to be considered acceptable growth for the entire school year. True story. That student was an ESE student, slept in class every day. Every day. Had some type of sleeping disorder. And because I had bigger fish to fry, I never woke him up because it's something mental. So I was like, if you sleep, you sleep. It is what it is. Sometimes I didn't fight those battles. He has a medical condition. Go ahead and sleep. My class already understood. He has a sleeping disorder. It's okay. And as a state with someone with a sleeping disorder, that's another thing. Why are some of these children taking this test? But we're going to leave that for another time because I don't want this podcast to be too long. But so this child sleeps all day long and you want me to have them move up 40 points. Beautiful. But I believe in the power of the Lord. And the Lord worked with me. And for some reason, maybe through my ASMR voice and the subconscious mind and the power of the Holy Spirit, he actually moved up on the test. Maybe he's listening to me in his sleep. I don't know. The student went up 39. True story. 39 points. Right? For 1 minute, I almost lost my mind. Lord Jesus, woo! Almost lost my mind till I went back to the chart and I'm like, the state is still saying for that child, I'm not effective. I was disgusted. I was so disgusted because I believe in growth monitoring, but you really can't tell me what the growth should be because you don't know the intricate details of it. This child sleep all year long and I got 39-point shoes. Somebody should have given me the keys to the city. That's how I felt. I felt real cheated. That is the situation. But thank God for great leadership. They knew that I didn't make the state cutoff, but they saw. And because they knew who the student was, my AP turned to me and she was like, I don't want to say the name, Johnny? Johnny went up 39 points. Okay, Miss Howard, I see you. And she pumped me up so much. And I'm like, what, Miss? I didn't make the statement. And then she was like, and that was my first year teaching. As a first year teacher, and he's sleeping, you must know Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So she made me feel good and she encouraged me. That's what great leaders do. There's another episode, but bosses, because bosses are different than leaders. A boss would have told me I didn't make it and he didn't make the cutoff and he's not included in the data. That's a boss. I'm not saying she should not tell me to make the state cutoff, but I'm just saying, come on. Y'all know Johnny. Come on. I didn't even take the credit. I kept telling people about the Lord. Follow Christ. Because this was not me. It was a testimony in itself. Okay, that's my personal experience. So thank God for great leadership. And I was able to encourage myself. I'm like, you know what? Bump the state. I know this child and I'm going to encourage myself. And I celebrated and I rewarded myself for my good efforts. Because I just left the child alone and I was very close to the family. Some teachers would be mad that they're sleeping and that he had mental issues that I cannot control. I allowed him to just be who he was and I took care of him. He felt safe. He loved coming to my class. I guess my sleeping environment was really good. I don't know. He actually loved coming to my class. The parents would tell me all the time. We had a good rapport. So I was like, you know what? I did my job. It is what it is. A more professional someone who is in that profession that could actually put the interventions in place for him could do that. Me, I did not go to school for that, so I don't know what to do for him. All I can do is love him and teach him the best way that I can. I am not the professional in that aspect. So educators, you have to just tell yourself that you're not the professional. They're trying to get you to be the professional of all these things. They took away the ESOL people, they took away the now you're the ESC specialist. You're not a specialist. If you're a gen ed teacher, you're not a specialist. If you teach social studies in high school or whatever, you're the social studies, you're not a specialist. So if they ask you to do those type of stuff, just help to the best of your ability and keep it moving. That's my advice to you. All right? That's my advice to you. Okay? Just celebrate those moments. Celebrate. I know there's standardized testing. I know there's politics. This is something where we cannot control it. Yes, we can go out there with our picket signs and stuff like that. Yes, if you want to be an advocate, go ahead and be an advocate. But this is really something you cannot change. You alone cannot change it. So it's one of those things that you have to release out of your stress depository. We're going into our suitcases. We're going to see what we had to release. Anything with politics, we got to let it go. We got to let it go. Still advocate. You can still voice your opinion. You know, you can still share how you feel, but you got to release that. You can't control it unless you're going to run for governor or whatever. You can't control it. Anything you cannot control, it should not be a stress factor to you because it's out of your control. Release it. These standardized tests, do the best that you can and release it. Tip number 2, let's get more specific. Make a decision. They already told you what the next school year is going to be like. Make a decision. Now, some people are not going to like this. If it's time for you to leave the profession, it's time for you to leave. Some people are not going to like that. We're sure the teachers, you're telling them to go. I'm not telling them to go. I'm telling them to make a decision, their own personal decision. If the progress monitoring, let me tell you why. Because you're trying to force these teachers to stay and they're so stressed out and so burnt out, they're going to throw the keys in your face. This is the purpose of this podcast. I'm trying to help you with not having these teachers throw the keys in your face. And if they do leave, they leave in decency and in order. That's the purpose of this podcast. If they leave, they'll give you ample notice and stuff like that. So now that you know, before the school year start, educate, make it, you know what, I'm done. If I do this again, I have to start over again. I just got through the pandemic and I still haven't even gone through the pandemic. And now this and mask and all of that that I went through from 2020 to, and then now this, if you feel like that is going to be the last straw on your back, you need to make a decision, pray about it. Don't do it because of this podcast. Pray about it. You know, let the Lord lead you or you know, whatever you believe in. I know I pray about it, right? And make that decision, because what you can do is make a clean break. You can have a good conversation with your leaders. You can give them enough time. They have the whole summer to find somebody, and then you won't have a set of students in front of you that you feel guilty that you're leaving them and you leave in the middle of the school year. Always try to make a clean break. So every summer, I challenge you educators, every summer, parents, I challenge you every summer, is this the right school for my child? Summer is the time when they're off, and LFK services is all about restructuring. Summer is the time to think about it. Is it time for me to restructure my life? Before we start a whole nother year of this again, and we're kind of stuck for 10 months. So think about it deep, reflect. Now, for those of you who are like, I'm good, I'm used to progress monitoring, this is what I've always wanted, I voted for this. You are happy, you are Miss Honey. First of all, if you're Miss Honey from Matilda and you feel that way about education, thank you for watching this podcast. just watch it so it can make you even happier. But the people that's really frustrated, I hope you're really, really, really taking heed to what I'm saying. All right, so for those of you that decide, okay, I'm going to remain, right? You're going to write it out. You know, you're going to stick this thing through. I would suggest make sure you rest in the summer, because what's going to happen is you're going to be like, okay, let me get ready. Let me go to this. And some of you are going to sacrifice your summer to learn this stuff. I would strongly suggest for those of you who say you're going to write it out to make sure you rest in the summer. And you timetable when you are going to maybe start focusing, or you maybe do it the opposite way. School ends on this date, and I'm going to spend 1 week after school ends to go to the workshops, do what I need to do, and kind of set up my mind for the school year. And then the rest of the summer I'm off. Or you could do it the opposite way. As soon as school ends, I'm doing donuts in the parking lot. And then maybe 2 weeks before school starts back, I'm going to kind of take a look at this process and what I need to do to learn. Right? So rest in so you're going to have to balance it. So you're going to have to rest in the summer, but you're going to have to kind of come back a little bit early, because what's going to happen if you just come back the first day, like I'm not coming back until I'm on the clock. The problem is that's too late. In 5 days, the students are in front of you and you didn't even get a chance. And that's when you're like, so take 90% of the summer as a disconnect, and then that 10% that you can dedicate to, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get my mind prepared, what materials we have, and so that you can mentally just be ready for the challenges. Okay, it's kind of hard to get ready, and planning week is not enough. And I know you don't get, some schools have programs where they'll bring teachers back early and stuff like that. I'm just talking about you personally. Maybe just 2 days out of the week, you said you're just going to kind of take a look at it. It's really difficult to come back the first day of school and now you're trying to learn all this stuff. That's actually going to stress you out. So look at it deeply. Is it time for you to exit? If you want to stay, make sure you have your stuff in place, or start the restructuring process so that you're ready and it's not overwhelming to you. All right. And then at the end of the day, the other tip I talked about was, listen, politics, just release it. Do what the people tell you to do and go home. Collect the paycheck and go home. It is what it is. Release that out of your stress depository. There's other things to stress about in life. Release that. You're not the president. You're not release it. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Listen, stress-free tips is going to come up on the screen as soon as I end this podcast. And have a great week. And remember, follow us at LFK Service. Write to us. What do you want me to talk about next? And always, 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 always know you deserve to be stress-free. Take care.